wealthy backer was Robert Livingston, who had met Fulton in Paris while negotiating the Louisiana Purchase for Jefferson. Soon the Hudson was crowded with steamboat lines, whose owners, like Cornelius Vanderbilt, known as the Commodore, made and lost fortunes in their cutthroat and sometimes deadly competition to monopolize the river. The completion of the Erie Canal in 1825 linked the city by way of the Hudson to the frontier farms and forests of the Northwest. The farmers sent wheat, flour, whiskey, and lumber east to the city, which sent supplies and more farmers west. In 1860, the Port of New York was the nexus of a web of trade routes that stretched around the world, up to New England, down to the South and the Caribbean, and west to California. It handled a greater volume of imports and exports than all other American ports combined. That made the Port of New York enormously important to Washington. The Custom House in New York was the single largest source of income for the government of the United States in the antebellum period. In the 1820s, tariffs collected on imported goods in New York covered virtually all of the federal government's expenses. Of the roughly $65 million in annual federal revenues in 1860, $56 million came from tariffs on imported goods, and more than two-thirds of those imports came through New York. Small wonder the position of collector for the Port of New York was one of the most prestigious of all presidential appointments, almost as much as a cabinet spot. Hiring for a bureaucratic fiefdom of some 500 agents and clerks also made the collector a very popular man in the city, and some collectors were not above lining their own pockets through the odd graft and bribe. Imported cotton cloth, lace, muslin, hats, and umbrellas, fancy ladies' shoes, jewelry, and jewels brought in by Charles Tiffany from 1837 on, fine furniture, china, tea, wines and spirits, musical instruments, and an endless array of other luxury goods unloaded onto South Street went straight to New York merchants' warehouses and showrooms, which expanded in the antebellum years to take over more and more spaces in lower Manhattan. New York became the great commercial emporium of America, as its merchants bragged. Shopkeepers poured into the city from around the country to see and order their wares. Local shoppers perused the merchants in retail stores, a new phenomenon, like the ones that lined Broadway. The fancier shops were on the west side of Broadway, the less expensive ones on the east. Locals called them the dollar side and the shilling side. The silver shilling was a relic of colonial days that remained in diminishing circulation into the 1800s. 2 shillings equaled a quarter. In the late 1840s, A.T. Stewart, a Scots-Irish immigrant and importer of Irish linens, bucked tradition when he built the city's first department store, the magnificent Marble Palace, on the shilling side at Broadway and Chambers Street. With the spread of retail, shopping became a pastime. Hordes of promenading shoppers, mostly affluent women out to see and be seen, crowded the sidewalks of Lower Broadway, while the cabs and carriages that brought them choked the street. Following Stewart's lead, stores began displaying their wares in large, street-level windows for the first time, and the term window shopping was born. As a natural corollary to New York's becoming dominant in shipping and commerce, the city also developed into the banking and stock market powerhouse of the nation, the capital of the capital, as it has been called. In 1815, there were 5 banks in the city, including the 2 rival institutions started by Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr. 18 more were founded over the next 2 decades. The prodigious growth of the city's merchant class spurred them. Buyers from the rest of the country rarely paid up front. Most merchants let them go home with their goods after signing promissory notes to send payment in, for instance, 90 days. The merchant could wait to be paid, or now he could take the note to a banker, who'd lend him the amount minus a commission. Early banks pooled their wealthy board members' resources for capital. A new type, the savings bank, appeared in the 1810s to take deposits from the average citizen.